Hello, I'm Andrew Hales. Welcome to another edition of Chatting With. Today I'm here with Jamie.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Sensitive to EMF, electromagnetic field?
Frequency, field.
Frequency, yeah. When did that start? How did you figure that out?
So as a kid, I had some pretty trippy experiences on a regular basis. The vortex in my mom's home was actually her bedroom, which is hilarious because now that I'm middle-aged, I understand why there was mirrors on nearly every surface in that room except for the ceiling. And it had some type of a vortex effect on us. I think my parents were just rather...
Vortex, that's like from the earth?
I don't know if vortex is the right word. Something about that room. It's also where the power comes into the house. But I would lay on her bed and I would feel kind of like an intense throbbing in my head and tingling skin. And I would see almost like a faint net of kind of just something that looks like electricity. It was like very, very faint lightning, but I'd have to zoom my eyes out to see it and unfocus my eyes. And I thought that everybody could do that.
What age was this?
Probably about 7 or 8.
You could see like, what color was it?
It's maybe a faint green.
Yeah.
Super faint, yeah. And it's something that's almost that space where if you're looking at those old magic eye photos where you have to unfocus your eyes to see the photo behind the noise, it's almost that.
You started learning about EMF probably a few years ago?
Yeah, well, I've had pervasive symptoms, especially in like the classroom environment or other areas where there's fluorescent lights. I can hear buzzing. I can walk by, any source of electricity. I mean, the big power lines here in the city, you can hear the buzzing.
Yeah.
But even normal things, I could hear the buzzing. Like if there was an electronic device on inside my mom's home as a kid, it would drive me crazy. I couldn't sleep.
So you guys don't have the Wi-Fi on a lot at your home?
I turn it off a lot. And I also, there's been times before where I've turned off the power to the whole house if I'm having serious issues.
Really?
Yeah.
What, like headaches? Like what?
Yeah. So it's a type of headache and a feeling in my body, almost like an overstimulation that you can't escape. Like I just want to just kind of jump out of my skin. Yeah.
And people have probably called you crazy or whatever. It's
Yeah.
all in your head, yeah.
Totally. So when I first met my husband, bringing that up, it's always a touch and go thing for me that I don't usually bring up unless I'm pretty uncomfortable.
Right.
So
Have you been to doctors with it?
I have, yeah. And, it either doesn't exist to them or it's some type of a psychiatric,
Yeah, they'll want you to get on Prozac or something.
Right. Yeah.
Have you ever wondered that to yourself? Like if you're...
Oh, yeah.
Like if it's really, the router or it's all in your head?
Yeah. And I have wondered that. And I have empirical evidence based on my experience on this plane.
Okay.
That tells me that my body, does have a reaction to it. And actually just having pervasive health issues, the headaches, being very overstimulated. That's what it feels like.
Tired, like depression, fatigue, whatever.
Yeah. So I'm a pretty high energy person. And if I'm around a lot of, electrical magnetic frequencies, I do feel fatigue and unclear. I may have energy, but I feel unsettled and very, I just don't feel like I'm operating at my highest capacity. Okay.
And you moved here from Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Yeah, it's like kind of a bad move, right? It's awful here.
I haven't slept a full night since we moved to our apartment. Really? It's been bad because we were in hotels and Airbnbs for about a month, and now we're in an apartment complex, and it's grueling. I'm really taken back by the difference.
Well, okay, but you came for work?
Yeah, for my husband has a consulting job here in LA, so.
Okay. And how do you treat the symptoms? You just use less Wi-Fi, or do you put on a tinfoil hat, or?
Yeah, you sound just like my husband. Yeah. So I don't wear tinfoil hats, even though it sounds like fun.
Right.
And there's different things. There is EMF protecting bed canopies that you can use that have like metal in the fabric, which I do not have.
Okay.
There's also EMF blocking paint. And it's this thick black paint that you paint on underneath your normal paint. And you actually have to ground it. Like you hook up electrodes to it and it, it's serious stuff.
Well, yeah, I have, I have these things on my phone.
Oh, interesting. Can you see?
They might be totally bunk, but, they were like $20 on Amazon. They're little stickers. They're supposed to, prevent testicular cancer.
Right. Well, it's true.
Yeah.
And I think that, people that use cell phones, even, I think, is it 30 minutes a day? I might have the research somewhere in here.
I'm well over that.
Right. But there's like a 40% higher chance that brain cancer can occur.
No, I definitely, like Tim Ferriss mentions, do you know him? Mm-hmm. He mentions he tested his sperm count or something before and after, and there was a huge difference when not using his phone. And so I was like, whoa. Yeah.
There's electrical systems in the body. And what helps me is actually, this is going to sound...
No, you're fine.
Sound crazy. So there's an electrical engineer that worked for one of the biggest power companies in the world. Mm-hmm. He was having these symptoms as he was helping to build observatories and things like that. He was having symptoms of radiation poisoning at some level. Mm-hmm. And he started bringing it up in the power company that he was working for and saying, hey, something's not right. Like I see some of the employees are exerting these symptoms of radiation sickness. And he went from one of their most, glorified employees to someone who almost didn't have a job.
Yeah.
And he realized that, that there is very common in areas where people are working with high voltage electricity for them to be sick. And for these companies really do know about it. And it's a very taboo subject.
Yeah, almost like the tobacco industry.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're alternative facts.
Well, it's like, you follow the money.
Yeah.
And so that's where, you'll have guys come up in a van and kidnap you.
Right.
If you talk too much.
I feel, I think that there's validity to that. I wonder... no,
I don't believe in that.
I wonder how.
But I do believe in lobbyists and everything, yeah.
Of course. And I do believe in global malevolence.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry,
No
I keep cutting you off a little bit.
So
but
the man's name is Lloyd Burrell. And
okay.
he started exhibiting these symptoms that were really concerning.
Yeah, you're fine.
And what he started doing, and this is interesting because it's like every crazy genius, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of the crazy genius archetype.
Yeah.
But he started, taking plants and things like that into high electromagnetic field environments and seeing how they would grow and hooking up batteries to them and grounding some of them and doing these other experiments. And what he found was that the plants, well, they just kind of helped him to get a better idea about living things, utilizing the DC kind of electricity that's in our environment. It just naturally is. Mm-hmm. And what he found was that taking metals in the form of trace minerals and also making sure that your body has a lot of electrolytes in it helps your body to fare its own electromagnetic systems against, this new world where we're just berated by all these new types of electricity.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've heard, having too much mercury or whatever, some metal, zinc, that can enhance the sensitivity.
Right, because isolated metals are really different than, say, ionic trace minerals. And what you'll get in a trace mineral supplement is, a range of metals in more or less a concentrated proportion, but a concentrated form in a proportion that's natural, something that you would find in nature, be it in the ocean or, in the ground. But isolated metals, mercury being one of the most profoundly unhealthy ones, but it's really different stuff. And then you're very right. That's some of the research found that having too much metal in the body, an isolated metal, has the opposite effect. It makes people more sick with radiation.
So you're probably into, eating healthy, maybe veganism. I don't know.
Yeah, I've definitely been a raw vegan for a while back.
Wow.
And now I've just,
Okay. Have you ever been on medication?
I have, yeah.
And that was years ago.
Yeah, I am diagnosed ADHD. Mm-hmm. So I do wonder if part of my inattention and things like that as a child was related to just being very uncomfortable in an environment where there was a lot of electromagnetic noise. Because at any time, even now, there's extra perceptual things. I think as an adult, maybe my brain has kind of shoveled them to the kind of the back, maybe more of a subconscious thing. Like we only perceive what's relevant to our survival, right?
Right.
So maybe there's been some of that, which is good, but I'm experiencing more at any given time than the people around me, which can be exhausting at times.
It'll cause like a panic attack or something, or?
I've had panic attacks before. For me, it's kind of feeling sick. Like I'll start with a headache. I'll feel just almost kind of like my skin is not crawling, but I can feel there's tactile tingling. My hands and feet can tingle especially. So
would you be able to tell if my router was on or off right now?
I don't think I could. Yeah.
But it's just like, because it's so subtle.
It's very subtle,
and it's like over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Right.
And since I came here to LA, I have insomnia.
So you definitely noticed a difference being in a city. Yeah.
With sleep, it's totally different.
Well, that's terrible.
It is.
Are you gonna move away?
I am gonna let my husband probably finish out his contract here.
Okay.
I miss rural Oregon, but I'm avoiding the snow, which is good. I'm from the Bay Area, so.
Okay. When you say empirical,
my own empirical evidence, like evidence that's based on my experience, and even, experiencing symptoms and then trying to figure out on my own what it was, and then having, the physical manifestations of either relief or an intensified sickness.
Yeah.
And something I didn't mention earlier was that certain electronic devices just happen to have maybe like dirty electricity. There's one light in a house that we recently moved from. There's just the kitchen light. I can't even be by it. It's just horrible. I can hear it from like the entire upstairs. And it's not an auditory hearing. It's almost like a sensory hearing. Like it's something that's inside your head.
No, because I feel like I've kind of, there's like certain chargers that charge my phone that make a little, and I'm like, what the heck? But it's not like something you can like hear. It's like you almost like feel it.
No, I'm glad that that you can relate, because I think we are berated with thousands of sources of different frequencies daily that really aren't natural.
Yeah.
And
they're probably giving us all cancer.
Oh yeah. Think about it. I mean, people that, our heart, it runs on electrolytes. I mean, the electrical impulses in the body. Electricity. I mean, it's important. So if anything interrupts our natural state of electromagnetic health, which I'm not sure if it's intentional or if it's probably just a byproduct of us wanting to have these, highly techy lives. But people are getting sicker. It's a combination probably of the environment and the food and
the water. Everything.
Totally. But
I guess we do our best.
Right. But I mean, turning off your router at night at least would be reducing at some point, some of your close contact with it, not sleeping with it next to your head or having your cell phone next to your head, even,
Yeah. Yeah. I know we don't turn our Wi-Fi off, but I definitely put my phone at least like 2 feet away from me.
Yeah.
Do you put yours like across the room or?
It's funny is, I have. I haven't turned the microwave on, but I've actually put it in the microwave because they block radiation.
Oh.
So, I've just like set it in there because if it was a night where I'm like literally turning off the power to the house, that's when I would do it.
Yeah. Has your husband kind of given you a hard time about it?
He did in the beginning. It was that uncomfortable phase where I know like, if he's down, if this is going to work out, like he's going to get it and he'll have his own evidence of knowing why this is real or whatever. And it didn't take too long for that to happen. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And now he's super supportive.
That's good.
Yeah.
In your email, you mentioned something about the pineal gland.
Yeah.
They thought it was enlarged when you were a kid.
So yeah, I a couple years back, the headaches just got insane. Like where I was disoriented, I would throw up. I would just feel really shitty. And I went to the emergency room and I, just said, look, I've been having these headaches and they're just out of this world. I don't want to take anything because I'm a mom and I want to be as highly functioning as possible. And so, some of the migraine medicines and things like that, I mean, you're out for the day and that it just wasn't an option for me. So I wanted to kind of figure out what the source of the headaches were. And they found out that I have a pineal gland mass. And I've been to different doctors. UC Davis, their take on it was that it is a pineal cytoma, which is a blended type of brain tumor. It's part cyst and part solid tumor.
Okay.
But because it's so deep in the brain, to get histology, to slap on a slide and actually look at the cells would leave me with a traumatic brain injury.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really don't want anyone probing around in there.
Yeah.
And
this was after you moved to LA?
No, this was in 2017.
Okay. And you moved to LA about 6 months ago?
Just 2.
2 months ago. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm only here for a few more months, so.
Okay.
Back to rural Oregon.
So then they just told you that and you were like, okay, then I guess I'll just do my best to avoid EMF.
Right. Yeah. Well, they didn't, the UC Davis didn't link the EMF sensitivity to the pineal mass.
Right. It's not really scientifically
special. It's not a scientifically special gland.
They kind of like, well, I mean, the scientific community, they don't believe it's real, right? Like, or
for the pineal gland being the third eye, or EMF sensitivity being
EMF
real?
sensitivity, yeah.
Right. Oh, it's totally now
accepted.
It's totally accepted.
Yeah.
You get the doctors that are just basically like walking relics of days past, and they really aren't up on the newer things.
Well, yeah, I heard like something like a bunch of doctors wrote like an agreement with the cell phone thing, like don't do 5G. Yeah. I mean, I'm butchering that, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, people have, tried to rise up against, the forces that be on every front, I think.
Yeah.
And, in my mind, I think crises precipitate change, and we can apply that to any of today's, concerns, and hopefully we'll find that balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, back to the pineal gland. Yeah. So you believe it's the third eye?
It's kind of something that's in esoteric texts and things like that. It's something, the pineal gland is kind of like the most mystic organ in the body. It's usually like P-shaped, and it's about P-shaped. It's in the deepest part of your brain. And it's, for the most part, what UC Davis considers it is just a gland that secretes melatonin. Okay. So.
Helps you sleep.
It helps you sleep, yeah.
Maybe intuition as well?
Well, that's something that's, you're getting more towards that, the spiritual or esoteric, interpretations of the gland. There is doctors, Dr. Joe Dispenza particularly, that talks about tantric breathing. You can look it up, and it's pretty neat because the people that I've told about it who've practiced it have actually had, felt things. And that's really neat, especially when square bears kind of flip.
Yeah. Do you think it's hereditary?
I think that it is hereditary. I believe it to be something to the tune of, we all have our strengths, our inherent strengths that we could have gotten from, an ancestor or a parent or grandparent. And we all have different biological features as well that are in different proportions.
Have you talked about this with your parents?
I have, yeah.
Does your mom or dad relate at all?
I don't believe that they have those experiences, but when I had my first apartment, I bought this TV at Montgomery Ward's, and every time I had the TV on, I could feel, like what I was saying, that tactile headache. That I could hear the TV, and I would get that headache, and it would just be nauseating within a few minutes. So I gave it to my mom, and she said that she could hear the TV, but it didn't bother her like it bothered me. And not too long ago, I was installing a cable box. You know, this thing is the relic now. It's old. But I was helping my mom, you know, wire something up in her bedroom, and the TV, she turned on the TV, and I was behind the TV, and instantly it was just insane. Like I almost fell over. It was horrible. And that's the thing, though, is that is there a system, or is there an organization that regulates the type of EMF? I mean, that electronic devices put out?
I think phones have to go through some kind of thing. Like
the FCC, right? Probably if you're, you know, that's for transmitting things. But I read a study about CT scans in hospitals, and, you know, basically they bombard your body with radiation, right? And if someone went around and actually tested, you know, tried to calibrate the machines, the results would be all over the board. Like your child could be getting 10 times the amount of radiation that they're supposed to get, just because, you know, the machines are all over the board. There's no guarantee that you're not getting exposed to far higher amounts of radiation. But taking antioxidants is something that's been scientifically proven to reduce, you know, the damage that radiation does to the body, because, I mean, CT scans that's why you have to be alone in the room, and there's, you know, the
antioxidants like blueberries and.
Well, yeah, it would be, it sounds funny. It sounds funny for sure. But anything like vitamins A, C, you know, any type of a multivitamin, blueberries are great because they have, you know, I think it's a full spectrum. Okay. But someone who's undergoing radiation, like chemotherapy, they're told to avoid fresh foods. They would want people that are on chemo to avoid blueberries because they block radiation.
Oh, yeah, but you're trying to kill the cancer. Yeah.
They're trying to kill the cancer. So there's validity in the fact that it does block radiation. It does block it, yeah.
Okay. What are some things you do in moments of discomfort? You just meditate, breathe in, breathe out.
It's nearly inescapable.
Yeah.
I get restless. I get bitchy. Like I'm very uncomfortable. And my husband says that it's like a hummingbird in a shoebox in a way. And for me, I just kind of feel like just so uncomfortable. Like I want to just jump out of my skin.
So what do you do? You just run around, or?
No, those are the nights that I will, you know, try to put myself in the room with the least amount of electromagnetic interference. I mean,
what room is that?
Let's see. It's definitely not my office. Like usually the kids' room.
Kids' room.
Yeah. There's no TV in there, and other things. Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Like nature, I always feel different in nature. It's you know.
And it's interesting because like power lines that go over, you know, rural areas, you know, cows usually orient themselves in their pastures. They orient themselves in an organized fashion. And when, I don't remember exactly, it is like they all face one direction or something in nature. But if they're underneath power lines, their organization kind of just collapses and they're more sporadic. Oh. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's gotten worse or better with age?
It has gotten better because I think I take better care of myself.
Yeah. You're learning more.
Yeah, I'm learning more about it.
Have they been psychologically evaluated in the past?
Yeah, I have. Because that's totally, if you go, especially even like 5 years ago, if you go into the doctor and you're like, look.
They kind of roll their eyes.
For sure, yeah. And then, you know, then it starts with the psychiatric stuff, which is like, okay, if that's an issue, like I'm super down to fix this. Like I just want to feel better and I'm open to whatever. But
did you give, I guess besides ADHD medication, did you try anything else?
Yeah, I've been put on just short stints of like anti-anxiety medicine. Okay. Because I think that one of the things that doctors have thought before is that it's just stress. You're under a ton of stress, and these are manifestations of like anxiety. So, you know, there's those, but I couldn't exist on barbiturates or whatever they are. I don't know what they are.
Benzos.
Benzos. I knew it started with a B.
Barbiturates, so that's kind of an old-fashioned one, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like for people with seizures, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, it's like medication. Like I take Prozac and I take Adderall, extended release every day. And that just helps me get by. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like a personal choice. Like what works for you works for you, you know?
Yeah. And I was put on Effexor, which it made me feel...
That's an SSRI?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So it made me feel really kind of numb. And I took myself, I was on it for like a week and a half, and it was the weekend, and I was like, man, I'm feeling a little weird. I didn't realize that like weaning off even short-term stints on antidepressants can be grueling.
Yeah.
And it was intense. I had felt things. Yeah, I felt things. I just was super emotional. It was really weird. And
it definitely messes with your head.
Yeah. But, you know, being that those are things that have been suggested in the past, I'm totally open to trying them again if it means that I can feel, on top of things, because personally and professionally, the things that are on my plate sometimes do get put on the back burner because I'm uncomfortable. And it's unfortunate, because I would like to be a highly functioning person.
Yeah, of course.
And I really love to learn, and I feel like I've fallen short of my highest potential because sometimes I just don't feel well. Yeah.
I know that feeling. Are you part of any, I don't know, support groups?
I'm not, but...
Facebook or anything?
No, after your smile.
I don't know.
No, I'm not. But after reaching out, to you, I kind of went back on that path of, looking into it and seeing the new information that was available. Because last time I went to the doctor for it, that's when I got prescribed the Effexor. And I was just like, okay, this is like, I'm not like, I'm willing to try anything, but I think that they think it's a different problem. Like, I don't feel like I'm being received well, or that this is being approached. He threw what he could at it, I think. Right. And it wasn't maybe, it didn't maybe consider the fact that what I was experiencing was real. So I've since kind of re-entered the research and come up with some really helpful things. So I'm grateful. And I'm grateful to be here for that reason, because...
Shed light on it.
Yeah, to shed light on it. And a ton of new information is out.
Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, totally.
Any final words?
I do. I think that there's some cool stuff if anyone that's listening either knows someone who they think is a quack because they're EMF sensitive, or if someone, is feeling odd around electronics, or even, I think every person today in these type of unnatural environments that we live in, they exhibit fatigue. A lot of people are fatigued. A lot of people are unfocused. They have brain fog. There's just these subtle, pervasive health issues that a lot of people experience. And there's really good information out there from people that have had similar experiences and are very smart and really very well versed in this stuff. And if you want to look it up, Lloyd Burrell does an interview with Stephen McGee, and it's called Curing Electromagnetic Hypersensitivity. It's a few hours long. You can listen to it on YouTube. Okay. And that's where he discusses, why taking metals in the form of ionic trace minerals is important, and also electrolytes. Okay. So it's kind of scientific, but I think it's really well worth a listen.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll list that in the description. Thanks so much for being here. This was a lot of fun. Yeah. Let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Do you want them to follow you on anything, Instagram or?
I'm rather a recluse in that regard.
Not a problem. I'm kind of becoming a recluse the older I get. So yeah.
Me too.
But yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you next week. Thank you.